Uh, hey, folks, we are live. It is Tuesday. It is another SVT time. We are episode. I have to do this, Emily, every single time. I got to look like at my notes. It's episode 68. And I say this every time too. We're going to keep on doing these until they tell us to stop, actually. But I'm Dino. My guest host and partner in crime, Dom, is not joining us today. He is on tour, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, Emily. He's on tour, but the poor guy is sick as a dog, so he can't even call in right now. So we're going to give him a pass for today. But more importantly, we have our very special guest today, Emily Retsas of SVT Time. You've been on before for International Women's Day, but this is the first time we've actually had a chance to talk one-on-one. Welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's actually been too long since we've had you on, with your own episode and everything. So I apologize for this taking so long to get here. But man, it's so great to see you. Great to have you on board. I know we talked all of 5 minutes at the NAMM show.
Yeah.
But it's, like I was saying earlier, this is the conversation that we always want to have at NAMM. It's like catch up with the family, catch up on what you've been doing. It's not, we don't always just talk about amplifiers and basses here. Sometimes we talk about quantum physics,
yeah, exactly. And this week it's no Stairway to Heaven happening in the background.
Right. Yeah. There's no Stairway to Heaven. There's no Black Page. There's no, Victor Wooten licks going on. And exactly. So, but yeah, welcome. This is awesome. Man, where do we start? So I guess, let's start from the beginning. Where are you originally from?
We're in Australia. So South Australia, the West Coast, which is funny because I live in LA. Also the West Coast. From a tiny little town. My parents live in a place called Smoky Bay, which is 200 people.
Okay.
So I grew up kind of around that area and in between there and Ceduna. Childhood, really.
Okay. Now is that around? Is it near Perth, the Western coast?
No, Australia's so big. It's kind of if this is Australia, and Perth is here, it's here. It's right down the bottom and kind of the little curved.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay, cool. So I always tell people, and I know I'm going to get lambasted for saying this publicly, but I always tell my friends, if I ever have to disappear someplace on the planet and not be found, if the mobs ever after me, it's you'll be able to find me in Perth.
Yeah.
I love that side of Australia. It's so beautiful and quiet.
Yeah. When my parents lived there, on the beach, and it's the middle of nowhere, and you never see anyone. It's kind of so nice to kind of sneak away and
disappear.
And disappear.
Now, did you when you were living in Australia, tell us a little about do you come from a musical family? Do your parents or siblings or anybody play instruments?
My dad plays a little bit of guitar. But I wouldn't say I'm from an overly musical family. My mom just wanted to put us in music classes when we were little. Okay. And so I played piano first off, and then that was more her than my dad, really.
Okay.
And he played guitar, and I was I don't know if I really want to do the whole piano thing. I don't really see a lot of piano players in bands, so I was I'm gonna play guitar, and that kind of led to playing bass. So yeah, a little bit of there's some musicality in the family, but not a whole lot.
Would you say your family was a musical family though, always listening to records and listening to music? And
oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, my parents I was thinking about this the other day, where my parents are very supportive of us listening to music, and I wanted to go to this festival and it was sold out, and my cousin and I were yeah, let's sleep outside and wait in line for tickets, and they were absolutely no way, so they did it for me. So
wow.
Then but yeah, they love music. They have great taste in music too, so that that's
Cool.
really
Cool. Well, I know prior to us going live, we were talking about a little bit about our Greek heritage. Did you grow up listening to a lot of Greek music? Because that was like drilled into my brain as a kid.
surprisingly no.
Okay, good.
But my dad did buy a bouzouki.
I don't know
That
what.
was
Yeah, I don't know what would be worse, having to listen to the trio bel canto every Sunday afternoon, or Dad
right.
playing the bouzouki.
Yeah.
But
He didn't quite,
what's that?
he didn't quite master it, but it does sit there.
It's a very difficult instrument to play, from what I understand,
Yeah.
and or to play well, I should say.
Right.
Like, and even, I mean, even when listen to, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But I say, like, I credit, years later when I was in school and whatnot, and it's still published to this day. I have a book called Odd Meter Basics that teaches people how to play stuff in odd meters, and it goes back to learning how to dance in 7/8, learning how to dance in 5/8, and all the Greek, the traditional Greek folk songs, having to dance to them. So
Yeah. So it's definitely influenced you then.
yeah, right, yeah. So what actually drew you to the bass from guitar?
I was starting a band with my best friend and some other people, and there were 3 guitarists and 1 drummer, and so someone had to play bass.
Of
And
course.
that was me.
Yep.
That person was me, begrudgingly. But then I guess, like, when I thought about it, I was like, everyone that I like love in bands, and usually the woman in a band was a bass player of the bands that I liked listening to. So it seemed like a pretty easy choice at the time for me.
Yeah. Now, was it Kim Gordon you credited as like one of your early influences as a bass player? Am I right in that?
Yeah, Kim Gordon, Kim Deal, the big Kims, and like Melissa Aftermore and people like that.
Yeah. Interesting. And ironic, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but you went on to play bass with Kim Gordon, or play bass for Kim Gordon, I guess.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I want to talk about that, because that's a whole nother thing when you have, not have to, but when you perform or play in front of your idols or with your idols, it's like that's a whole nother headspace too that I want to talk about.
absolutely.
But so you growing up, did you go to formal college or school in Australia while you were there? Or I just kind of want to see your timeline. Like, what brought you over to Los Angeles?
Oh, right. I guess I always wanted to move to LA, but that's not maybe not like the best career path.
Right.
Following music, I would say, if you're trying to like convince your parents, I'm sure everyone else can attest to those conversations. I guess I always wanted to play bass. Like, I was from like a tiny town though, so I didn't know anyone that was even a musician full time, or whether that was even something that you could do. And I was like, I need to get out of here. And I was like living in Adelaide, which is like the capital city of South Australia, for a while, and playing in bands and things there. And I'd been to LA a few times, and I was like, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
And so I did. I think the day that I landed back in Australia, I got a lawyer and started doing like the visa process.
Wow. And how old were you at that point, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, when I moved?
Yeah. Because that's a scary thing. Like, I moved. How old?
25, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I moved to LA. I mean, I wasn't as small of a town of 200, but it was a fairly small town. But I moved to LA in 91. And yeah, I was about 25 years old. And I'm a fairly big dude,
Right.
and I was scared moving to LA, but like, just kind of, so something was calling to you, like, not that I have to get out of here, but I need to go there, sort of thing. Both.
Yeah. It's a pretty big. I mean, my parents. It takes me like 2 days to fly to where my parents are. So I think like, and like 3 flights. So it was also like, I think it was a little bit different than like, I'm moving, I can get on a 4-hour flight and I'll be back home. It was like,
Yeah.
I may not see my parents for a while.
You're moving to the other side of the world, basically.
The other side of the world. And yeah, I don't know. I just really wanted to tour and to play live and take it seriously. And I feel like it's the proximity effect. Like you go to where the jobs are, and
Yeah.
LA is kind of like the center of contemporary music. So I knew that was where I needed to be. So yeah, I just was like, I'm going.
That's so, man. And your parents were supportive of that? Obviously, a little nervous at first.
I think by the time that I got into me moving to LA, they were supportive. They were supportive because I was leaving, so they kind of had to be.
They had no choice.
Yeah, they had no choice. They try and lure me back.
Yeah.
Stu, but
Yeah, no, we probably had very similar conversations with our parents when I moved too. It was like, and I was working for the family business for my dad and my brothers, and my dad was like, "Why do you want to leave all this?" What's that?
what kind of business?
I was a truck driver.
Oh, cool.
I drove an 18-wheeler for 7 years for the family, but I was also gigging on the weekends too. But it was the same thing. It's just like, I know there's a greater calling for, like, I could have stayed and worked for the family business my entire life and I would have been just fine financially, but there was a calling there. And I think it comes from any musician. They get to a certain point where they stop and they think, is there more than this, or is this it? And that's where the calling comes, whether you go to New York or you go to Nashville or you go to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But when you got to LA, did you have contacts or anybody to hook? Nothing. Oh,
I didn't know anyone. I knew like one person.
Okay.
And that was kind of it. And so I was kind of like, all right.
Wow. And that's like, at least when I moved, I won't say I sold my parents on it, but the idea was I went to Musicians Institute. So I did have some sort of a goal in mind, but as soon as I got to MI, it was like all bets are off after that. So
yeah.
Wow. So, man, so how did you, like, as somebody that just comes into LA, and obviously you were playing bass at that point. You weren't playing. I know you still play guitar, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself like, I'm a bassist or I'm a guitarist, or you're a bassist?
Okay. I love playing guitar and I love guitar heavy music and I love guitar pedals. But I'm definitely through and through a bassist.
Okay. All right. That's I wasn't sure because, like, this.
It's like how you have to play Moog. Like if you're also a bassist, it's like you need to play keys and you need to like be able to sing and you need to like the more things you have.
Yeah.
The better it is. But yeah, I'm definitely bass is my instrument for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Especially like I run into it too all the time where. If you tell somebody you're a musician or a guitarist, or they're like, that just opens it up for a whole bunch of different like questions, like, oh, what kind of music, or do you have your own band? Right. If you say you're a bassist,
what happens is you end up playing both in the same band. And I was like bringing a guitar amp and a bass amp and a guitar and a bass, and I was like, for the price of one, and you're like, no more.
Yep, I am your bassist. That's all I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did you, like, what was your first gig in LA then?
Oh, I think it was playing, oh my God, I forget what it was called because it's not here anymore. It was like this little venue in Echo Park with a girl that I had met who kind of had this band called Color TV that's kind of like the Cars. It's okay. That kind of music. And yeah, I think it was like playing there to like 10 people. Wow. I want to say it was called The Lot, but I can't remember. It's now like a burger joint in Echo Park.
Well, if anybody that's watching can remember the name, chime in and let us know.
I used to remember so long now.
That is so wild. Now, man, And I love hearing stories like this because, obviously we all kind of have migrated through the same thing, but for folks that are watching too, it's like, so that's, like you say, if you're a musician, not that there's anything wrong with staying in your hometown and making a living there, but there's that, like I said, I get back to that word, the calling. And
Mhm.
ironically, Dom, our who's not here today, wow, I'm way over caffeinated. I'm just gonna let you know ahead of time. Dom is on tour with The Calling, the band The Calling,
Oh, cool.
down in South America. So um, I don't know. I'm putting things together now. That's
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like you said, you're either going to Los Angeles, Nashville, New York, one of the big musical
Yeah,
hubs, I guess, and those are pretty much the big three in the
exactly.
country. You know,
Yeah.
um, I want to talk a little bit, looking at your website and your bio and everything. Um, you One of the things that caught my eye was you were or are an arts practitioner, and I know we had talked about this before we went live, but what does an arts practitioner do?
That's just basically like an overarching statement to say like I've worked a lot of gigs in the music industry. Um which you were saying like it isn't really a term that's like used in America, but I
Yeah.
guess it's a more widely used term um in Australia. So like I've worked, I guess like while I was gigging and touring in Australia, um I was like working at like festivals and like artist liaison and production and things like that from almost all of the major festivals that were there at that time. Some that still exist, some that don't. And at like record labels and management companies, so like an A&R and like I guess like day-to-day management. And then like working for the government as like an event manager, like booking bands for
Okay.
spaces that they like manage, and then like running I guess like music programs for like kids at like government funded music
Hmm.
facilities. Basically.
Okay.
If there's a job in the music industry, you can guarantee I've had
Okay.
it. I've had no, done it. You name it, I've done it. So
Artist relations manager for Ampeg.
yeah, yeah. Watch out.
I would welcome it, please. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah. So basically, like
That's
mostly
cool.
A&R and
Yeah.
management, really.
Because it's funny, like there's a place here in my town. I drive by it all the time, and it's music therapy, and that's when I saw practitioner, and I was like is it something to do with health and music, or you
Right. No,
know
not nearly that.
okay.
No. I
But
win.
I
Such a fun
yeah.
job.
Yeah, well, I was at one point, like I was thinking of stopping in and just saying, hey, like kind of getting a feel for what does a music therapist do? Like, can
Mhm.
I'll come in and just I'll bow a low E string on my upright for hours if it means it's gonna, like,
Yeah,
chill
chill
people
people
out.
out. I know. I know. It's like when you have like the sound. This what is it called? Like a sound bath.
Yes.
Yeah. I assume it's something like that, but I'm sure it's not. But I've been to a sound bath and it is very relaxing. So
Yeah. Yeah. The, there's a guy on TikTok that's his TikTok thing is he's got all these talking drums and all these sound effects. It's really cool, actually. Like if you're ever just trying to like get in the right headspace and get to sleep, and it's really cool. But
nice.
anyways, yeah. So um man, so you get to LA. What would you say was like your big gig, or your like shining moment where it's like, wow, this is really happening?
I was like playing. It's funny. I've done a few interviews where I've had to like really think about this, and I did do like a little recap once of like I think in the first year and a half that I lived there, I played in like 30 something different bands.
Okay.
I think pretty much almost all who don't exist anymore, but maybe some that like do in other sort of incarnations. But I scored a gig playing bass for Shirley Manson and Fiona Apple for a festival, like a local festival here, and that was probably the first time that I was like, oh wow, like this is, I'm playing two people whose music I adore, and they're personal heroes of mine. And it was just like, it was an all-female orchestra, and it was just, I guess that was one of the big, I was like, if this is it, then if this is as good as it gets, this is great, because what an amazing experience.
Yeah. No, that's
probably the first big one.
And it's like, you just need that one hook, you know, and then you're hooked at that point, in both ways. Like, you've got that gig that hopefully will propel you to other gigs, but then you've also got that taste of what, I hate to say proper gig, but of like what a national gig is like. And once you get that taste of it, it's kind of like, wow, this is really cool. It's a whole different level of touring or professionalism or a gig. I guess I don't have the right word for it, but
or even like replacing bases that, like, like I played in Entrance for a while, and that was like, the Entrance band was Paz from A Perfect Circle, and like also someone who I grew up really listening to.
Sure.
And I was like, and she came to a gig and was like, great bass playing, and I was like, what? I was like, this is crazy. Like, I mean, these are just real people, but here I am playing in a band that she was also kind of in, and in some way or another. And you're like, you just kind of have these moments like, oh, maybe all of those really terrible gigs I played to find people were worth it.
Well,
maybe sitting on couches is worth it. I don't know, but
that. In a lot of ways, those, I'm a firm believer of not just gigs, but any life experiences, whether good or bad in the past, make you who you are today. And you wouldn't be that person without those experiences. That's so, no, that's, but how surreal is that? Like when you're, when the person whose shoes you're kind of filling on the gig shows up to the gig, and, and obviously pays you a compliment, but just shows up to the gig. And, so that, I guess that brings me to, like, with Kim Gordon, how did you come to play with Kim Gordon?
It's funny because I feel like I get questions of like usually how I ended up playing with someone, and the answer is always the same. I get a random text message.
That is wild.
I get a random text message saying, hey, do you want to play bass with Kim Gordon? And obviously the answer is yes.
Of course.
And the second question is, why does she need a bass player? Because who would think that job exists? So I just got a random text message at, like, I was going out for brunch one day, and I got a message from an unknown number, and that was it.
Wow. And who were you playing with at that point? Or what were you doing at that point?
I was already playing with Phoebe by then. I think we were either in between a Boy Genius and a Phoebe tour, or it was a Better Oblivion community center and a Phoebe tour. But it was somewhere in there that I got a text message saying that Kim had an album coming out, so her first solo album, and she was putting together a band, and did I want to play bass? So that was a super fun experience. And then the pandemic happened. So that was funny while we were on that tour.
So everything got shut down.
Everything. Yeah, we were in Paris, like the day Paris went into lockdown.
And you never finished the tour after that? You never went back out with her? Or?
The tour didn't happen after that. So what was it, like two years later? I can't remember how long it took for everyone to stop playing shows. But by then Phoebe had released the Punisher album, and so we went back. So I was we basically toured that for 3 years. So yeah, no, I didn't rejoin that tour, but my friend Camilla, who's actually from Adelaide as well,
Wow.
is playing bass for her now. So
Keep it in the family.
you got to keep it in the family.
That's fantastic.
The Adelaide Mafia of bass.
Yeah. Speaking of LA Mafia, we didn't. Again, talking to you prior to us going live, we didn't realize you're friends with another SVT time Ampeg artist, Elliot Larango.
Yeah, I was saying I messaged him to give me tips for today.
You were scoping us out, like what am I getting myself into?
Yeah, I've watched. Well, it's funny. I think I watched some of his, and I watched a bunch of these. But you're always like, I want the inside scoop.
No, there's no for me the inside scoop is a large vanilla ice cream on the side. But no, it really, like I said, I love doing these because it gives us a chance to just catch up and talk,
Yeah.
and but it's informative too, because like I want to know your journey. Like I wanted to know your journey from being in a small town in Australia to, I mean, playing sold out stadiums. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I mean, Phoebe sold out, and I'm just north of Boston here, in New Hampshire. Phoebe sold out Gillette Stadium 3 nights.
Oh, with the Taylor Swift tour.
Yeah, but I mean, but even still, like you're there to a sold out stadium for 3 nights, and I wasn't going to hit you up for tickets to the Taylor Swift tour. I just that
Shut up. If you're a fan.
No.
Crazy. I mean, honestly, crazy. Yeah, Phoebe played. I mean, it sounds like crazy to say, but there's not many shows Phoebe plays that aren't sold out.
Right.
There was a time though. I played with her for six years, I think. And yeah, I still remember it. Times playing in the middle of like Idaho to, maybe 100 people, let alone what it is now. It's definitely. Yeah, it's grown so crazy, but I guess that's what happens when you're very talented and work hard. So, yeah, playing to 80,000 people a night in Gillette was insane.
And not just, I mean,
where I grew up.
the whole tour was like that.
Yeah.
That's again another surreal moment. Like, the closest. I was going to say, how can I can't even envision that. Like when you walk out on stage and you just see a sea of people. Do you get nervous?
What's funny? No, I get more nervous if like we played in Adelaide on the Laneway tour and the Laneway Festival, which is a festival I used to work with as well, which is really funny. And I looked out and I could see like my old boss, like my best friends, my sister, that my bass teacher. That was more nerve-wracking. I think like when we had played those songs for so long, by the time we got to the Taylor Swift tour, that honestly we were kind of just having fun with each other because it was kind of like a goodbye of the album. And so I think we were so focused on one another playing those shows live that it was, and everyone's so far away.
There's a level of separation there.
Yeah, you feel so much energy coming at you that I don't think you realize until like after you get off stage. But yeah, I think it was just like a real, honestly, like kind of like a real beautiful time between us on the stage together. And then afterwards, I have bad eyesight too, so I couldn't see all 80,000. Because if you were up the front, then it was.
I'll remember that.
It was the loudest. I've been to like Rage Against the Machine shows. I've been to Tool. Like it was the loudest crowd I've ever been around. For sure. Yeah.
And one of the shows was rain. They rained the whole show. So I don't know, the Gillette Stadium. You guys got stuck in the rain.
Yeah.
So, but all right. I gotta ask you this. Speaking of inside scoop, I do have to ask you, and I don't know if this is public knowledge, so forgive me if I'm ignorant towards this. But what's with the skeleton suits?
Oh, we played a Halloween show at the Bootleg Theater, which was like this amazing venue that exists in a different capacity now that this local promoter syndicate was booking. They booked Phoebe for a very long time, and we played a Halloween show one year,
Okay.
and we had Amazon skeleton suits. That was just kind of it.
That was it?
That was it. And then I think kind of like the pandemic happened, and Phoebe like shot her. I mean, she could probably tell you closer to the thing, but like she shot her album cover and I think was wearing one of them.
Okay.
So for a while they were like really cheap Amazon suits, but that now thankfully they're like really beautifully made costumes by this lovely lady Amber in New York.
Okay. So you're not sweating in polyester all night.
Exactly. And like it doesn't have like the little Velcro. It has like, a zip for like your innards and everything rather than just breaking open at the back. But yeah, it started as a the first time they ever I think came up was like the Halloween show at the Bootleg. And like Blake Mills played with us. It was kind of like a old family band kind of vibe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's funny because I know like a lot of the promo photos you guys are wearing now. Is that, do you wear the suits every night now, or is it just on occasion, or is it not even happening?
The suit was every night for the Punisher tour.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We did have casual Fridays once. Friday.
Casual Fridays.
We got Casual Friday, but I can't confirm whether they'll be back ever again. So
okay, all right.
I think it was just specific to the Punisher run, but
okay.
Yeah, right. I think the guys would be happy to see the end of the
right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a buddy of mine who used to play with the Dickies, the punk band, the Dickies, and he would come out in these big, and his wife made them for him, like these big bunny costumes, like something from like Christmas Story. And he came out, he did it as a joke one night, and then it turned out to like, no, you have to go out wearing that bunny suit and play an hour-and-a-half set of all high. He's like, dude, I lose like probably 5 pounds of water every single night going out in this big fuzzy. So I was kind of thinking the same thing, like,
we used to wear suits before the skeleton suit, which was like in summer in a club in Berlin is like not super forgiving. I actually like a uniform. I will say that I do love a uniform.
Okay.
So the skeleton suit was like a welcome from a tuxedo jacket.
It's like the Einstein theory. If you wear the same thing every night, you don't have to think about what you're going to wear every night.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah. Hence why I just wear Ampeg hoodies all the time.
I wear black.
Right? It's so slimming too.
Yeah.
I'm going to move here because first of all, you have it looks like you've got a couple of your students chiming in here. Caro?
Oh yeah, Caro.
And Fern? No. What Rohit? Am I saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for putting that. I think it was Haji that put that up there, or Aaron. But
hi to them.
So how long did you teach for? And I know you actually still offer lessons on your website too, right?
Yeah, I still teach. Okay. I started teaching. I mean, I've been teaching, I guess, like music or in some capacity for a long time, but privately like bass and guitar students for I guess like over 6 years now. Yeah, and I have like a really great group of like people that I teach on a regular basis. I feel like I benefited so much from like really good teachers in my life. And I feel like I don't know, you learn so much about yourself and just keeping like your habits up and things like that. I think it's just a really good way to like give back and something that I love doing. So I love my students. My students Oh, I've always loved because like they're always showing me new music rather than the other way around.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
stay up to date with what all my students listen to. So this is so nice and like yeah, they all have great music tastes, which is
that's
awesome. So
so cool. That is
I get
so
to learn
cool.
through them, which is nice.
Now I'm gonna put your website back up here, and because looking at the page on your website, you have it set up kind of uniquely too, and I've never seen this before, where you offer, you have your lessons, but then you also offer recording sessions as well, bass tracks, but
Mm.
you offer them in packages, which is actually really cool. I thought, like,
Right, yeah,
you
and
could,
like the mentor sessions too. I get like approached a lot about I guess like giving advice, which seems like crazy but not crazy, I guess,
yeah,
because I've done like mentor sessions with people before. I actually had a mentor for a long time who told me to move to LA.
okay,
Um, so yeah, I feel like the things that I looked for when I was coming up, or just in general professionally, like I feel like you learn so much from talking to other people that do the thing that you want to do
hmm,
that I was getting asked enough. So yeah, I tried to streamline my website because I was like, I should have the information on there rather than someone
yeah,
having to email me and be like, is this something that you do?
right,
One of my friends who's like much more into the business side of things was like, you should be doing this.
yeah,
I just took her advice.
yeah. I thoroughly agree with that. I actually, my buddy Chris that has Emissary Music Group. He and
Mhm.
I powwow at least once a month on, you know, he educates me on, you need to be doing this with your website or your social
Yeah,
media. And
yeah.
luckily, I have two younger daughters that are very into social media too. So it's like
Nice.
I just I hand them my phone and just say, can you just, I don't even like have them show me how to do it. I just hand them and say, "Can you do this for me, please?" So I'm lucky in that case.
Love it.
No, that's really cool because yeah, it's obviously with and ever since COVID, people have become more accustomed to working out of their houses, and
Oh
this
yeah.
actually SVT time was born out of COVID because this whole format was originally supposed to be filmed in house in Calabasas with Dom, myself, and our guest artist. And then COVID happened. It was like, all right, we got to reinvent this somehow and do it online. But my point being, as musicians, we all started like flying tracks to one another. Like I'd get sessions from my friend. Hey, can you lay down a bass track for that? Yeah, all right. And then you start to monetize it a little bit, like, and people reach out. It's like, well, I really don't know what to charge because I'm not having to go to a studio. I can work in the luxury of my own house. I can give you an unlimited amount of tracks, but then you kind of figure out, well, it's all right. What do I charge for that? But
Right. Yeah.
so that the fact that you laid that out in a package, it says this is what you get, this is what I offer,
Yeah.
and and obviously you everybody's flexible and things that like that, but
Yeah, exactly. It actually came from like the pandemic because, like you said, the amount of remote recording I was doing for people's records that I'd never met
yeah,
just like shot through the roof, and even now still happens. Like I just recorded for someone in Australia, um, and it's funny because I think our minds have been opened up to that's something that you can do. I mean, it's like a little bit different, and it takes communication and all of those things, but it's such a fun way to like make music with people that you don't otherwise have access to.
right,
So I love that. I love remote recording because yeah, it's like I don't have to be in Australia or I don't have to be in the valley at 9 a.m.
yeah, yeah,
whatever. As much as I love that as well, but yeah, it's just like I think because of the pandemic, we're now so much more open to the idea of collaboration
yeah,
through the internet. I mean, we spend all our lives on there, so why not add
yeah,
another layer, really?
yeah. And as long as the phone lines are open,
Hmm.
where whoever you're working with can pick up, can you try this, can you do this,
Yeah.
yep, yep. um I'm going to post this. This is actually really a very nice words from Tim. Emily inspired me to pick up the bass in the first place. She just made bass playing so cool to watch. Thanks, Emily. So that's from
Thanks. That's very sweet. I don't know about cool to watch, but
so a friend of ours, actually Fern, is asking, did Emily write and record with Phoebe or just tour?
I'm on the Punisher album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Man, I want to look at, so let's talk a little bit about gear too, because this obviously Ampeg is paying for all this. So, you've been part of the Ampeg family for a long time now, using SVTs and 810 cabs and stuff at home. And generally, like when you're on the Punisher tour, did you were using an 810 and a CL primarily?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have used a fridge if they would have let me, but I'm not the one carrying it.
Right. Was it? Yeah. I mean, was it primarily because of that, or more of a set design thing?
Set design, actually.
Yeah.
Both. It was set design, and we talked about maybe laying one flat, but set design, just with the way, because we have a lot of really amazing visuals by our lighting director, Spike, who does a lot of that. And yeah, it was just like keeping everything so that the eye line was kind of like clear. But yeah, the CL and the 8x10 was the whole tour, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, it's and that's something that, obviously I believe you obviously were on in-ears through that tour as well, right? So yeah, it's just as a bass manufacturer, it's kind of coming into question now. Like, whenever we're offering tour support to an artist, it's, do you need the rig on stage? Do you need the rig under the stage? Or do you even need a rig on this tour? That sort of thing. And luckily, if it's a knock out of the park, we can put a rig on stage and everybody's happy. The artists are happy, artist relations is happy, everybody sees the rig. If it goes under the stage, well, it's still on the tour. But now we're running into like where, just from budgetary reasons and transport reasons, no, we're not bringing a rig out on tour. And yeah, it's, you just kind of go, huh, okay. Well, we've got this, and luckily Ampeg offers a couple of different things where in fact, I don't know if I sent you one or not, and the little SGT DI, the preamp pedal.
No, I would love
all right.
one.
Yeah, we'll talk after this, but yeah, I mean, for situations like live playing and touring and even just home use, that's kind of started to become like, I notice like on all the bass player Facebook pages and bass up front and the Ampeg thing, and more guys and players are talking about their pedal boards and what they take on fly dates than what they actually use as a bass rig. So
yeah, exactly. I think that's now everyone's kind of feeling the pinch. It's like, can they afford to lug around,
right,
amps and all of that, or especially if you're flying or going overseas and all of those things. And if you're a part of something that's maybe doesn't have the budget for that and has to like make compromise, amps are usually the first to go, and then the bass player.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know.
But yeah, no, my preference is always to be standing in front of an amp, though. Because so many things happen. Sometimes like maybe something happens with an in-ear, or I like being able to feel the air behind and the vibration behind me. So yeah, my preference is always for the real thing. But yeah, for a lot of the time it's like flyouts or DIs. I've been DI in front of a stack of Ampeg cabs before.
Yeah.
Crazy things happen. It's like you want the look, but not you want to control, like someone else wants to control it over there. It's like everything kind of happens. But with Phoebe, we have, it's all real amps, and
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the 8x10 and the classic, which is great.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Now, do you on your in-ears, do you usually take a like how do you set your in-ears up? Like, do you try and get as much of the Ampeg sound in your in-ears as possible, or are they generally blending, or
I
you
think
know,
we're
'cause some,
usually doing a blend. Yeah.
okay,
Because I play with like pick and fingers, so I'm like I always want some sort of like attack happening.
yeah, yeah,
Yes. And then usually just like a lot of vocal and not much else. So it's usually bass,
yep, yep,
me up here, and then
of
vocal,
course,
not a whole lot else. But yeah, anything that's going to get like the sound, because especially if you're using like effects and stuff like that, you want to be able to hear like the amp and how it's reacting
right,
through your ears as well.
yep, yeah, and generally, usually bass to a set of in-ears, no matter how good the in-ears are and what they're feeding you, in some ways it starts to sound kind of sterile and transparent, like you're not getting that third dimension or fourth dimension through your in-ears sort of thing,
Exactly.
and I know more and more players have adopted the backbeat, the back or the beat buddy or whatever, the
Oh,
vibrating thing that you put on your strap. But in a touring situation, if you've got 3 or 4 basses, now you need 3 or 4 back, and then you've got your wireless, you've beat buddy, your in-ears, it starts to look like the bat belt,
yeah. Thankfully, I get to stand close to my amp, so
cool.
it's like it's usually like right there when I'm on tour with Phoebe. So it's like if something goes wrong, I can just flick out my ear and
Yep.
be there.
There you go. There you go. Now you're a big proponent of using effects too. Do you use quite a lot of effects on the Phoebe tour, or
I mean I love pedals,
yeah.
whether it makes it into live sets or not. I love playing, recording, experimenting with pedals.
Okay.
I'll always like try and like uh serve the song the best. Like I think the amp and the bass are the two most important things of what your sound is going to be like, and that should be good enough, honestly, for just a clean tone. But I really love like the Earthquaker pedals. They've got some really amazing fuzz pedals.
Yeah.
I kind of like lost track of like the ones that I have, but like the C Machine and things like that. And I love a fuzz pedal, so I'm always kind of like playing around with whatever new fuzz is kind of happening. Or like I bought the Kevin Shields
Okay.
pedal like recently, and like even though that's just guitar, like I'm a big fan of like just messing around, or even like the Debbie Ever old school like pedals. Like I love those fuzz
Yep.
pedals for
Oh,
guitar.
that's cool.
Yeah,
It's almost it's addicting. It's
it
like
is.
I equate it to, and I'm not a big video game person, but like I equate it to playing video games where like once once you just start diving into like the world of effects pedals and layering stuff and getting different sounds,
Mhm.
I guess the only reason I equate it to video games is like you'll be messing around for 6 hours, 7 hours, like not eating, not like forget to eat, forget to drink anything. You're just like into it. And then 7 hours later, you come upstairs going, holy shit, I just spent 7 hours playing a
Doing
video. Yeah.
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 I try
So,
and keep my pedal board pretty clean.
okay.
Like if I'm going out for a run, I'm not anything that is not getting used. I'm not putting it on there, and I'm
Sure.
really trying to make everything work so that it's not like 30. But you're a bass player. I'm always like less is more.
Yeah.
But at home and recording and like if I'm working on like someone's record or something like that, like I love
Yeah.
playing around and like really like getting different sounds and seeing what works in those kinds of environments where you can kind of be a little more creative.
That's cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously on your own material too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That stuff is just like taking noise and then like, processing that like 20 at a time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like like any artist that puts paint to canvas, you kind of figure out, all right, what's this going to be when I'm done?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. Speaking of when you go out on the road and when you go on a run, do you have a tech that you work with pretty much all the time, or is it like do you have somebody that's helping you tech wise, or is it depending on the tour?
For the Phoebe stuff, I have, funnily enough, my friend Ada Brumbach, who's like she's an amazing guitar tech from Kansas City. She worked with like a guitar company, Seif,
Okay.
SEUF, which I actually have one of their basses. And yeah, not every tour gets a bass tech,
Yeah.
but she's definitely like my go-to and my recommendation for anyone that's ever looking in LA. She's always fixing my stuff, and I'll be like messaging her with questions. But yeah, she's been with the Phoebe tour for a few years now, so yeah, she is a lifesaver.
Yeah. That's cool.
When it comes to bass techs,
right?
Out there. Yeah, we had this funny thing where we would like throw my bass to her as a joke, because we thought it was kind of cringe, and then we just started doing it, and she called every single time.
Really?
So yeah, it's nice to have a friend that is, yeah. I'm sure you probably become friends with your tech, but yeah, no, she's been with me for a while, so she's great.
That's all. In fact, we're there a couple of some of the artists that we work with. Obviously we work closely with their techs too. Mm-hmm. And that's actually one of the concepts that Dom and I were talking about with SVT time, was having some of the techs on SVT time too. Like that. Like, let's get really into the nuts and bolts of rigs and touring and stuff like that. But
she's out with Dominic Fike right now, so she's like,
okay,
cool. She's always like on something.
Yeah, well, good tech will always be working. Let's put it that. And
Mm-hmm.
and we never call them roadies anymore. It's always, because it's beyond being just a roadie.
1,000%. Like, people who work on the other side of the stage work harder, longer hours, and have far more many skills.
Absolutely.
Than the people on the stage.
Yep.
You're only as good as the crew around you. And I think we're really lucky. The Phoebe crew is like a really, really good, beautiful group of people. So that's
cool. That's cool. Well, what's next? Like, what's next for Emily? Are you obviously, if and when, I shouldn't say if and when Phoebe calls again, do you have any plans to go out anytime soon, or? I'm
going out in 2 weeks, in less than a week, with Ali X, who's an amazing performer. And doing a show with Delilah Montague, if anyone listens to Fred again.
Okay.
And she's like a really amazing singer-songwriter as well. Phoebe's on break right now.
Sure.
She's been going hard for as long or longer than anyone could fathom. So she deserves a holiday for the first time in her life.
Right.
So no word on that, but I'm going out with Ali X on her UK and US run it's at the end of May. So we'll be in the UK for a while, and then through East Coast, West Coast.
Okay. I'll keep an eye open for it then. I thought you were going to say, hey, Dino, catch up, keep up here. Like, I can't believe you're asking me when I'm going back out again. But
I know, it's like literally like kind of next week. It creeps up. I tried to take a little break I was like, I need a little break from living on the road for a while. I've seen more flights, I think, than most people in a lifetime. But no, I'm really excited. Ali's music's really fun. And it'll be a really good run. So that's exciting.
Cool. How long have you been home for now? Have you been home for a little bit? Like, had a chance, or you?
I go back to LA yesterday. I've been in New York for a few weeks, and then I was in Australia for a few weeks, and I've spent a lot of time in New York recently. But I got back to LA yesterday morning.
And here I am bugging you on email. Emily, are we still on for Tuesday? Are we still like?
I'm gonna go after this, so don't worry.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna ask, like, do you remember the cartoon character Waldo? Like, where's Waldo? I was gonna say I was gonna open the broadcast with, like, where's Emily today? Like, where can we find her?
You sound like my friends are like that. They're like, are you here? Are you there? Where are you? I did like a lot of recording. I did some recording in New York last week, and it's any excuse to get out of town. I usually take. But I got back yesterday, so I'll be in my own bed for 2 weeks.
And then back out again.
Man. No rest for the wicked.
Okay, so and speaking like we had talked about this with Dawn being sick on the road and so what what is the secret to staying healthy when you're traveling as much as you do?
Oh my god, sanitizing wipes,
Yeah.
sanitizing wipes, everything. Like if you're on a plane, everything. I take so many vitamins.
Yeah.
Like I have a stack of vitamins. I'm kind of a bit of a health nut. Like I'll be like eating sea moss and like stuff like that.
Yep.
Um, but I think like honestly, I don't drink when I go on tour. Really at all. So I feel like limiting that, keeping up like exercise and like not eating pizza.
Yeah.
Please, like the best things that you can do is like just really try and like manage what you're eating. I know it's hard, but like making healthy choices. So like get rest and exercise and drink water. Like my rider is coconut water and avocados.
And avocados. Nice.
Yeah.
No, but it's it's the total antithesis of what people think touring musicians are like on the road.
Off the stage, I either go to the gym or I go to sleep. That's
right.
Like,
I remember.
I'm not staying up to party. I'm sure some people are, but not me.
No.
I remember in the morning.
Well, that's just it. You're at work. You know what I mean? It is work. But I remember my wife used to work for a very high-end vitamin company.
Oh, cool.
And whenever we would go out to visit somebody on tour, in the old days it would be, let's bring them a bottle of wine but then you never know who on the crew is abstaining or sober. So it was like, and we started bringing baskets of vitamins.
Oh, that's so nice.
Like that was her gift, to bring to the, and now it's gotten to the point she doesn't work for the vitamin company anymore. But whenever we meet up with an artist backstage, they're like, did you bring some vitamins? Like we could really use some turmeric on this gig.
Our booking agent, Phoebe's booking agent for Dave Rowan, this is the sweetest guy. He brought me like these like vitamin C pills that he like swears by and like something else. And I was like, that's honestly gifts.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I think I was like feeling sick. He's like, all right, I'm going to be at the show tomorrow. I'm like, he's like, I'm going to bring you like the ones that I swear by, because he has to travel for shows too, so he knows. But no, I'm always like, I have like my omega-3s and like I try to stay up on everything because especially when you're out for so long, it's like you don't often have control over what you're eating, what access you have to food. So you have to try and stay as healthy as you can, as best you can.
Absolutely. Good words of advice. We're coming up on an hour, if not. We're just about there, but I'm going to throw you a curveball here, and I don't know if Elliot hipped you to this or not. I hope he did. No, it's easy. It's basically every guest that we have on, I ask 10 quick fire questions. It's usually sometimes it's 11, and it's all easy stuff. If I can find them. Oh my gosh. You think I would? Oh, here they are. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, it's 11 questions, actually. I'm going to ask you 11 questions, and you can't think about it. You just kind of have to answer what comes to mind first.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. P bass or jazz bass?
Jazz. Easy.
Okay. Passive or active?
Passive.
Okay. Round wounds or flats?
Round.
Okay. B15 or SVT?
SVT.
Okay. Cable or wireless?
Cable.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Pick or fingers?
Pick.
Wow. Okay. IEMs or floor wedges?
Oh, IEMs. I never want to be a floor wedge.
Okay. Pedals or no pedals? And I think I know the name.
Pedals.
Okay. Now we get into the travel side of this.
Mm-hmm.
Window or aisle?
Window.
Okay.
Staunch window.
You're a napper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could fall asleep anywhere, but I need that window.
High bunk or low bunk?
Ooh, high.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been on the low bunk.
Okay. Black, and this goes to the cosmetics of Ampeg. Black with white piping or silver and blue, like the old anniversary stuff.
Ooh. I like both, but maybe silver and blue. I like silver.
Okay. And last but not least, this for anybody that knows this question, it's evolved. The old question used to be best place in the States to get a chicken sandwich, but not everybody eats chicken sandwiches.
Right.
So, your favorite restaurant while touring? How's that?
Oh, my favorite restaurant while touring.
Or your favorite restaurant in general?
I have so many, honestly. There is a really good French place. Is it called La Bouvette in Omaha?
Really?
I wish I got to go to more that I think about because you're in Omaha. But I also love there's somewhere, I think we went to like St. James or something in London. Honestly, I've been like Portugal had the best food of anywhere that I've been.
Okay.
We are spoiled for places that we've been, and like anywhere in Mexico City. The other side of our touring is just eating too well at amazing restaurants, and unfortunately, but I would say if you were talking best burger, I think Red Hook Tavern has the best burger I've ever had, but it's not a chicken sandwich. Okay. But in Australia, we call it a chicken burger. So
okay, yeah, it was a running joke that we had for the longest time. Like I would, certain guys and gals and players would be like, what's a favorite chicken sandwich, sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
and it just like it kind of revolved like, well, not everybody eats chicken sandwiches, not everybody eats meat. So it's kind of, we might just have an episode on favorite places around the world of favorite restaurants, because I'm sure you do it too. Like when I know I'm going to a certain area,
I have them saved on my Google Maps.
It's like I know
place I've eaten that I liked is hearted on Google Maps.
I know where I'm eating Friday night because I'm going to be in Memphis, Tennessee, or Omaha.
Yeah,
that is so funny. Oh man, Emily, I cannot thank you enough. This has been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's
thank you so much for having me, Dino.
Yeah. No, it's been like I said, it's been too long since we've had you on, and hopefully you will come back and visit us again.
Absolutely.
And as always, if there's if there's anything tour support or anything you need, just please let me know, and we'll take care of it. And I'll keep an eye on if and when you're in the Boston area too.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know. Send me dates.
Yeah, please do. So I would just want to say, here, let me post this real quick. This is your Instagram as well. Thank you, Haji. I just want to say thanks for everybody for watching. Man, next two Tuesdays from now, I'm just follow socials. I'm not going to dig through my files. I don't know who I have on in 2 weeks from now. It is Wayne Banks from the Classic Rock Show and a bunch of different artists, but that'll be another great conversation. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. Aaron, thank you for putting this together. Haji, thank you for the support in the background with the links and everything. And Dom, what can I say, pal? Feel better, man. It sucks being sick on the road, dude. But hopefully you'll be back healthy again for when we have Wayne back on. All right, folks. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.